linebackers. We've been watching the Senior Bowl highlights and some news coming off the ticker. And Marist Liufau showing himself well. Jamie says Marist Liufau will be the third Notre Dame player off the board, presumably after Joe Alt and Audric Estim&e. Am I correct in that assumption?
I actually think Cam Hart is going to be the second.
Let's go. Wait, Jamie buried the lead. Let me change it. Tell me about Cam Hart.
I think the media, where he's projected by the media is like way off of what teams are going to value, because I know, Greg, you've always been a big Cam Hart proponent because of how he's played and his guys played well. He's played well, and he's going to test off the charts. He is going to test off the charts, and he's a 6'2" corner who can run and can play man coverage, like you saw at the beginning of the Senior Bowl and stuff. Like that's valuable. That's valuable. He's going to be a day 2 pick. And I always kind of thought that once they start kind of evaluating, that is kind of where he was going to go anyways. Right. Like, because if I compared him to say like Troy Pride, who was a 4th round pick, right? You know, kind of borderline, could have been a maybe like a 3rd rounder or whatever. Like Hart is a better prospect than Pride was, and frankly was a more productive player than Pride, you know, overall, right? Like guy made 33 Havoc plays in his career. You know, he's a 3-year starter, and got better and better and developed. I think he's going to go high. Like, I think people who didn't acknowledge it this year, I mean, I get the feeling too, just by some of the reactions from some of the people. A lot of people didn't watch the Notre Dame defense that closely this year, just based on the reactions. The reason I think, say, like Audric Estim&e is not going to be, I think just it's running backs. It's just one of those things where I just think you're just devalued, and it's not to say that he won't be like a top 5 back off the board. I just think that he will just dip lower than you should, because that's where backs go, right? Like that's just where it is. And since he's not in the Bijan Robinson, Jahmyr Gibbs type of class, especially as a receiver, and how he's viewed there, I just don't see him being like a super high pick off the board. So he's going to probably go a bit lower than people think. So, and I think with Liufau, the main thing is that, you know, his value, first of all, guy at 34-inch arms, that's like defensive end. That's like long for a D end. Like that is very, very, like that is eye-catching right there. Which if you've seen him in person, that's not surprising. Like the guy has got freaky long arms, but you know, to see that and know that right away, the fact that he's 239 pounds, they probably can put more weight on him. That he's a guy who could play edge, who can play inside linebacker, be a sub package guy, rush the passer from inside and out, cover. That's NFL linebackers today. And I'm not to say that he didn't have holes in his game that would whatever, because if he had other parts of his game, then maybe he'd be a 1st rounder, like, or something, but or like a 2nd rounder. But the thing is, like, when you have someone who has all these things that you want with modern day linebackers, right? That ups your value, because he's not just a 2-down linebacker or even just a regular off the ball player. He's a guy who's going to play on 3rd down, and 3rd down is money. That is money. I mean, he played the money backer position at Notre Dame and played it well. So like when you're watching these games and you hear like, well, man, it was huge that Willie Gay was going to be out for KC, because they were like, well, this guy was going to spy Lamar in the game. Well, that's the kind of thing that Marist did for Notre Dame and will be asked to do in the NFL if he develops enough, right? Like he's not going to be a guy who comes in right away and starts or anything like that. But to be that kind of guy, there it's just he has all these things. He has these physical checkpoints. He has the ability to rush a passer. He's violent, and he really hasn't played that much football in terms of because of his injury and stuff too.
Yeah.
So I think he's going to go much higher than people think. And I saw like, Matt Freeman mentioned to me that, PFF had him projected to go in the 3rd round. And I was like, I can kind of see it. I can kind of see it because of his value specific to whatever. And it's not to say that he was a better player than JD Bertrand, but his value in terms of it is different than a guy like JD Bertrand's.
I mean, I think the kind of the comp to that is like Tavon Coney had much better numbers than Drew Tranquill did.
Yeah.
Drew Tranquill's playing the Super Bowl for the Chiefs, like
perfect example.
Like it's like being able to do something that's projectable into the NFL. It doesn't mean you're better, right? That's not always how it works in football. It's like, it's not about, who's the better player all the time. It's just like who can project to do the thing that a team wants you to do, right? Like there's always a role for a guy like Marist.
Scheme versatile.
Yeah, exactly. And there was I'm not a big like GPS guy as far as like this guy ran, 19.4 miles an hour. Like he hit the top speed. That's not my thing. Okay. I don't like it, but
I like it. I think it's good, but
I don't like it because, when it's to like the pros and stuff, I think it's a little bit different because that's like legit. Like some of these high school guys where it's like, hey, he hit 2 miles an hour, and it's like losing huddle tape, and it's like, well, what's going on here?
No, I'm 100% with you there. I do think I'm like, wow, this is some really fancy AI if they could tell.
It's like, oh yeah, look at this sophomore from Piscataways hitting 23 miles an hour on this 50-yard run. No, but he tested among the top players at the position in top end speed for the GPS stuff. And like, whether I agree with it or not, like scouts like it, right? So they can come up with a way for him. I would still be very surprised if he went before Audric, just because like, is he like an every down guy? Like, is he like, he does have, there is some special teams, value there, which matters a lot, right? Like you're not just a 3rd down guy. Like you can run down on special teams, and that's where the GPS stuff comes in. That's where like the arm length and all that other things, like they play into it. I'd be surprised, but hey, if for a spicy take, I like it. It's good.